I don't think I'm going to upset too many Manchester United fans by saying that since Sir Alex Ferguson left, things have not quite gone to plan. Well, over the course of the next 5 weeks, one episode every Sunday at 2 p.m, just like this one, I'm going to be rebuilding Manchester United into the most dominant force in English football once again. Welcome to the video, everybody. If you're new to the channel, the way this is going to work is like with my Blackburn Rovers rebuild that's in a playlist on the channel as well. I'm going to be doing one video every Sunday at 2 p.m. Each video will represent one season. There'll be 3 parts to each season. Part 1 will be leading up to the end of the transfer window. Part 2 will be to come back midway through the midway through the season to let you know how we're getting on. And then part 3 will be the end of season review. Now, we're doing Manchester United, and like I said in the intro, I don't think it's a bad take to suggest that United have fallen off from what they once were. And they honestly were one of the best, well, they were the best team in English football for many years. What we're going to do is we're playing in original mode. So, for example, if we have a look at our squad and we go down to strikers, Rasmus Højlund is at Manchester United now. If we were playing this in real world mode, then he wouldn't be joining until the date that he actually joined in real life. Same with Anana and Bayendir and all this sort of stuff. Anyone they've basically signed this season. Højlund is out injured though. He's going to be out for 7 to 9 weeks with a lower back stress. I believe in real life he missed the very first few games of the season or something. But he'll probably be available for the start of the season with us. Now, one of the caveats I'm putting into this save is that I can only sign players that are 25 years and younger. By the end of the save, so by the end of our 5th season at the club, we can have no players in our squad that are over 25 years of age. It doesn't mean that, say Tom Heaton, for example, it doesn't mean I have to sell him right now because he's over 25. It just means by the end of the 5-year cycle that we're going to be playing this for, he can no longer be at the club. I would have thought in 5 years' time, at the age of 37, he's probably going to be retired. But it's just something designed just to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, and there'll be a lot of wonder kid shopping. Now, if we look at the finances, we do have 95 million in the bank. We do only have a transfer budget of 1 million because we've already spent the money, remember? So if we want to spend money now, we're going to have to generate it through player sales, and we'll get to that in a moment. Our wage budget is 4.6 million. We're currently spending effectively 4.5 million. We've got 140,000 left in the bank to spend, so not really much there either. Now, when we look at the squad, if we look at some of the wages people are on, because this is where we're going to struggle to sell people. Raphael Varane, for example, is 30 years old, so if we can get something for him, we'd like to. He's out of contract at the end of this season, so I'm not going to be renewing his contract, even though we could get around 50 million for him. But he's on £350,000 a week. We're not going to find anyone that's going to want to buy him, I wouldn't have thought. Marcus Rashford, he's on 300,000. He's 25 at the moment. So again, he'll need to be gone by the end of the 5-year cycle. Again, the fact he's on £300,000, unless someone like PSG or Real Madrid or someone like that comes in for him, we're not selling him. We're going to have to wait for his contract to expire in 2028, which is the end of our 5 years. So I really don't know what we're going to do with him. Casemiro, I mean, he's 31 years old. He's on 300 grand a week as well. Jadon Sancho is obviously on loan at Borussia Dortmund. He's on £275,000. Anthony Martial's 250. There's just so many players in this team that are on massive, massive wages. If we look at contract expiry as well, we do have, 6 players in Evans, Heaton, Williams, Amrabat, and Varane, and Martial, who will all be out of contract at the end of this season. Amrabat obviously is only here on loan anyway. Now, out of all of them, Brandon Williams, in theory, we could keep on and give him another contract for a few more years, just as a bit of a backup option. It's something I'm considering. He is trained at clubs, so from a European perspective, he could be quite useful for that. But Evans will be letting go. Heaton will be letting go. Amrabat will obviously be gone. Varane will be letting go. Martial will be letting go. So there's 6 or at least 5 players there that will definitely be moving on. We'll have a look at what the squad looks like towards the end of this first part of the video. The transfer window, I believe, goes on till the 1st of September. So what we'll do is once we've had a look through the club now, we'll come back on the 1st of September and just see any sales and purchases I've been able to make. So we've had a look at finances, we've had a quick look at the squad. We're going to do a tactics shortly. If we have a look at dynamics, we can see that the team cohesion is averaging in the red. Club atmosphere is poor but going up. Managerial support is good. If we have a look at my profile, I've basically just clicked to the one that says suitable for a club like Manchester United. So we were a player at an international global level. We have a Continental Pro licence with 3-star reputation. In terms of our attributes, that's what our attributes are. I've put it more towards tactical and higher motivation and determination. But yeah, that's basically what I look like as a manager. And if we have a look at our dev centre, obviously we're going to want to bring people through from our dev centre if we're going to try and do this the right way. And it says here, under 21 squad is strong. Our under 18 squad is average. If we look at our under 21s, filter it by potential. Shola Short Hire, no idea, never heard of him. He's got a value of around 10 million, potential to be 4 stars. 19 years old, can play in the attacking mid, well, can play anywhere around the midfield areas, central and wide. So he's someone we could potentially bring in. I mean, he is 19 years old at the moment, so he's probably going to need to be playing fairly soon. The others look a bit underwhelming, to be quite honest, but we might be able to use one, maybe two of them. I mean, this guy here who's out on loan, Daniel Gore, he's on loan at Port Vale. He's a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and he's got 2.5 to 3.5 star potential. He's 2-star current. Again, he's someone we could potentially use around the club, but I'm not overly keen on him, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, there's not a great deal in our under 18, in our under 21s. In our under 18s, we have Jack Fletcher, who's got 4.5 star, maybe 3.5 star potential. He's on a youth contract at the moment. He's only 16 years old. Plays in central midfield or could play in the attacking midfield role. He's got lots and lots of potential. My concern, he's only got 4 for determination, and that is pretty terrible, to be quite honest. Right, in terms of the competitions we're in, we're in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. By the end of this series, we want to have won the Premier League more than once. We want to have won the Champions League and picked up both the domestic cup competitions at some point. Basically, we want to be dominating the English game by the end of season 5. Now, if we have a look at staffing, what work do I need to do with staffing? I've got 2 assistant managers. Why do you need 2 assistant managers? I've bring in 4 coaches and a set piece coach. So we've got 2 performance analysts more than we should have for some reason. Staffing wise, I mean, we're allowed 20 coaches, but we've got 31. Now I'm starting to see why it's so hard to overtake Manchester United in this thing for scouting. I mean, they've got 30, they've got 12 recruitment analysts when they're only allowed 6. I mean, what is going on here? They've got 6 physios instead of 5, and that's all they've got. They're 6th in the league when they've got 6 physios. I mean, okay, so I need to sort out staffing because we're going to be spending so much money on staffing. It's just absolutely ridiculous. If we have a look at the coaching team, our 2 assistant managers, Steve McLaren and Mitchell van der Gag. Okay. Mitchell van der Gag, well, it looks a bit like Ten Hag, really. I mean, I'm just being biased on the fact he's bald with a beard, but okay, so that's what he does. He's 14s basically for the bits that are highlighted. He's got a little bit of coaching about him. Steve McLaren is a little bit worse than him, I'd say. So I think we're going to need to let Steve... I mean, he's 62 years old, Steve McLaren. He needs to be looking for his retirement home, really, doesn't he? And how much are we paying Steve McLaren as well? £15,000 a week. He's on 30 grand a week. How much am I on, by the way? 130. Okay, so at least I'm being paid more than them. But he's here for another 2 years, whereas Mitchell van der Gag is also here for another... I don't know why he's got 2 assistant managers. I really don't. Right, the first thing we're going to do is a mutual termination of Steve McLaren. He's gone. Right. Where else are we overpopulated? Performance analysts. We've got 2 more than we need. Right, let's put out an advert for coaches. We need to have a goalkeeping coach. We need to have a fitness coach. We need to have a set piece coach. And we need actual coaches as well, general coaches. Not actual coaches, that's a bit disrespectful. Right, we need to get rid of some scouts. We need to get rid of some recruitment analysts. We need a sports scientist and a head physio. So let's put out adverts for those. I mean, how bad are our physios if 6 of them are only at that level? So Gary Armour is 14. David Billingsley is 16. He's 18, John Davin. Richie Merron is 16. Andy Wallin is 15. Andy Caveney is 14. I mean, yeah, they're not the best in the world, are they? Right, we'll look at that at a later date. But so my job basically is to have a bit of an overhaul of the staffing while I'm also trying to find players as well. If we go to our scouting centre, we should have a pretty good scouting centre, to be fair, especially with 31 coaches when we're only allowed 20. Players in range, we've got nobody scouted or recommended on that at the moment. If we go to scouted players, it shows us this. Filter it by the most highly recommended. Okay, right, let's have a look at our squad because we need to work out tactics. So let's do this by position. So Tom Heaton, really we need him gone, don't we? We don't need him here. So can we talk to Heaton? Is he willing to go? Yep, he's going to get onto it. That's fine. Right, so he's gone effectively. So we've got our 2 goalkeepers. So we've got Basaka can play at right back. Brandon Williams is out on loan. Delo can play at right back. How long's Malacia out injured for? 9 months. Well, might as well just bung him into the under-21s really, and he's going to be out for the season. So Luke Shaw can play left back. Lisandro Martinez can do it. Delo can do it. I mean, centre-back wise, we've got Johnny Evans, Maguire, Varane, Lindelof, Martinez. I'll tell you what, there's actually room there for a 3 at the back formation. If we was to have Maguire, Varane and Martinez, leaves us with Evans and Lindelof, potentially even Shaw as a backup to that. We've got a few defensive midfielders with Casemiro. I mean, is Ericsson really a defensive midfielder? No, he's more of a central midfielder, can do an advanced playmaker. Yeah, okay. Scott McTominay is best in the middle, but can do defensive as a ball-winning midfielder. But we can get 3-star out of him for central. I mean, I'm probably looking at a 4-3-3 if I'm being quite honest. Casemiro is a defensive midfielder. I mean, his mentals in the game are absolutely, well, mental. They're really, really good. Elite midfielder. Could do the ball-winning midfielder or defensive midfielder. That's fine. Amrabat is another defensive midfielder. I mean, there's a lot of defensive midfielders. So Kobe Mainu, 2.5-star with 4.5-star potential. It'd be interesting to see how that changes when FM25 comes out. Also, if you had, or you've done a Manchester United save before the winter update, let me know what Mainu was before the winter update, because I bet he's had a massive upgrade. Right, so he can play in that area. He's probably better suited to this area, the actual middle. They've gone down to being able to play on the right as well. Needs some training there, but can do it. Van der Beek is out on loan, as is Hannibal and Sancho and Greenwood. Anthony, what's he look like in the game? Because obviously in real life he's absolute rubbish. 23-year-old Brazilian, 2.5-star with 3.5-star potential. I mean, they've got him down here as, I mean, that's pretty slow really. That's not quick. I thought he was meant to be quite quick, Anthony. He's left only, fairly ambitious. Plays predominantly on the right. Yeah, he don't really look that appealing, I've got to say. He's contracted until 2027, so are we able to... Can the agent do anything? No, there's nothing they can do, so go away. So there's nobody that wants Anthony. I mean, sounds about right, to be fair. Bruno Fernandes. I mean, now this is... I don't want to do a 4-2-3-1, but with Bruno Fernandes, that is the role you want him in, as the attacking midfielder. To be fair, he is also 4 stars in here. We can have him as an advanced playmaker or as a central midfielder. I mean, look at his attributes. I mean, you look at this. I'm surprised that's not 5-star, because he looks incredible in this game. He really does. Yeah, really, really impressed with him in Football Manager. Mason Mount, who would kind of be... Now, we could play him as... So we could have him as a box-to-box midfielder with Bruno Fernandes as the advanced playmaker, and then Casemiro behind them. That is one option. Amad Diallo is out injured for 5 to 6 months. Garnacho, I actually like Garnacho. I think he's a really good... I mean, he's got a value of up to 100 million. And he's one player that could actually be here for the whole save. He's 19 years old. In 5 years' time, he'd be 24. Same with Mainu. Kobe Mainu, he'd be 23. So are we looking at building this team around Mainu and Garnacho? Potentially. They've also got Rashford on the left as well. Can also play up top. Martial, he's got an injury. He's out for 2 to 4 weeks. And then Rasmus Højlund. So at the moment, looking at this, we've got no strikers, because Højlund's out for up to 9 weeks. Martial's out for up to 4 weeks. Rashford has a tantrum when he plays up front, although this is FM, it's not real life. Greenwood's away on loan. So we've actually got no strikers. So if you have a look for strikers that are under 21s, I mean, that ain't really... Ethan Wheatley, he's arrived in real life now, hasn't he? I'm sure he's made a couple of substitute appearances in real life. I mean, FM don't rate him at all, not in the absolute slightest. So looking at this, I mean, potentially Victor Musa. I mean, if you're a United fan, by the way, and you recognise any of these players, let me know in the comments. It'd be fascinating to know. Shea Lacey. Also, leave a like on the video, folks. Episode 1. We want to get this pushed out to as many people as possible. So I really would appreciate likes on the video. Jack Fletcher can play in this position. Yeah, okay. Right. Let's have a look through this first of all. So the supporter profile, a moderate influence on the board, 7% hardcore, 33% core, 19% family, 19% fair weather, 4% corporate and 18% casual. The corporate's higher than what you see on most clubs. Most clubs it's like 2, maybe 3%, but that's 4%, so that's quite high. 55,000 supporters have season tickets, and there's 100,000 on the waiting list. So the vision, expectations, whatever you want to call it, they want us to sign players under the age of 23 for the first team, kind of what I want to do anyway. Sign players under the age of 23 for the future, yeah. Work within the wage budget, sign players to sell for a profit, grow the club's reputation, maximum 1-year contract. We're not going to be signing players over the age of 32 or 30. Minimum 4-year contracts for first team players. Reach the latter stages of the UEFA Champions League and qualify for the UEFA Europa League. So basically they want us to finish top 5 or 6. Reach the latter stage of the FA Cup and be competitive in the Carabao Cup. Okay, it's all kind of what you'd expect, to be honest. Players in the last year of their contracts. I mean, Martial does have a 1-year extension, but we're going to be letting him go. Yeah, I mean, that is what that is. We've already kind of been through that. We'll do tactics in a moment. The injury list, squad selection rules. McLaren agrees to contract termination, 750 grand. That's costed us. Let's confirm. Does that come out of my... It wouldn't come out of it just yet because we haven't turned it on. Right, here's all of that sort of stuff. His contract's been terminated. What have we still got to reply to? Oh, we've got to do a tactic. Right, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, that's the perfect way to prompt me. So let's go and have a look at tactics. Right, here we are on the tactics screen. So we're being suggested either control possession, gegenpress, or vertical tiki-taka. I'm going to go with vertical tiki-taka because I want to steer clear of gegenpress if possible. They're saying a 4-3-3. They're also saying a 4-2-3-1, but I'm going to go with a 4-3-3. And yeah, that looks about right to me. We're going to change this to positive because I always go with a positive mentality. I always play for set pieces, so we're going to have that put on as well. In transition, we're pressing. That's good. I do like to press and counter press and all that. Out of possession, I'm not going to do get stuck in. We've got a high line for life and all that sort of stuff if you're a Spurs fan. Right, let's get back to the tactic because we've got a central defender and a ball playing defender. I might change that to 2 ball playing defenders. Let's wait and see. I'm not doing all this fancy inverted fullbacks and all that sort of stuff. I want a wing back on attack and I want a wing back on support. I don't mind which way round it is, but either way, we will then have an inside forward on support. So we support where we've got attack, and then we will inside forward on attack. So we'll attack where we've got support. Sure, that makes sense. Pressing forward, yeah, I'm fine to leave that. Might change it. We want to have an advanced playmaker on attack. Can we move those over? No, it's not going to do it. Okay, so we'll do a box-to-box midfielder this side, an advanced playmaker on attack this side. So we've got the inside forward here attacking and the advanced playmaker here attacking, while this one's supporting. We're not going to have a register. We'll have for now, we'll have a defensive midfielder. In an ideal world, I'd like to have like a half-back type thing so that they slot in here, which will help protect the defence more when the wing backs further forward. Right, let's see what our assistant manager will pick as their best 11 without restrictions. So there's players that could be injured and whatever else. So this has given us Onana in goal, Shaw left back, Dalot right back, Martinez and Varane in here. So with Martinez, for example, who's on ball playing defender. Okay, so with Varane, it's a central defender. Yep, they're quite happy with that. Yep, okay. Dalot, wing back on attack. What's his attacking skills like? Well, he's reasonable, I suppose. He's got some stuff about him. Luke Shaw, to be fair, Luke Shaw will probably be better on attack. We'll keep it at Dalot for the time being. So then we've got defensive midfielder Casemiro, yep. Then Mason Mount as a box-to-box midfielder with Bruno Fernandes as the attacking playmaker. Then we've got inside forward, it's got Mason Greenwood there. Now, I know there's probably going to be some people that are, Mason Greenwood is kind of the elephant in the room here. We're actually going to put him into the under-21s because I won't be using him. So let's just remove him from that position. So we've got Marcus Rashford. So who is best in this role? We're not going to put Fernandes there. I mean, that's quite a gap, to be honest. Because that's kind of saying putting Garnacho out there. So we do have a bit of a gap on the right-hand side. So that's somewhere I would be looking at strengthening if I can. Obviously, Rasmus Højlund's out injured. Okay, so we've got the basics of our squad here. Let's go into set pieces. We do hybrid for there. Then this is where they want them defenders. We do near post there, balanced there, near post there, balanced there, in swinger there. Right. So put it on attack. We then want to create a new routine. So we've got a near post in swinger. We want a far post in swinger that we have on less often. And then we'll do short in swing as well that we put on less often and have there. Right, so that's our set pieces done. Right, let's have a look at our staff responsibilities. I just need to make sure that all this is working because I don't do training. So that's fine. For the match, yep, looks fine to me. Yep. Yep, that seems to have all carried over as well. Okay, I'm not going to worry too much about staffing now. I'm quite happy with that. Right, I'm going to play forward in the game. If we have a look at our schedule, we've got a few friendlies. I'll probably organise another couple of friendlies. We've got a few friendlies. We start the season against West Ham, Burnley, Brentford, Chelsea and Everton. I will bring you back around the 2nd of September when the transfer window is closed, and we would have played 3 league games by then as well. But we can bring you up to date on any transfers in or out that we've made, including staffing. And yeah, let's have a look at that. Okay, so the transfer window has closed, and this screen pretty well encapsulates the very small amount of business that we've actually done. So Victor Lindelof has gone out. He's gone out on loan to Newcastle for the season. As part of his contract, there is a mandatory future fee of 11 million. I have decided that if I get loan offers with a mandatory fee that I will accept it. Optional fees I'm probably not going to accept. We did have an optional fee on an offer from Napoli for Scott McTominay, but it was an optional fee or future fee to be paid if they won Serie A, and I just weren't prepared to entertain that. I'd rather keep him here than hope that they win a league. So yeah, we've let Lindelof go for £11 million, like I say, mandatory fee. We have brought in a loan signing of our own, Julio Enciso from Brighton. I did try bringing in Evan Ferguson, but the amount of money they wanted for a loan for Evan Ferguson was just absolutely crazy. They also wanted to put in a mandatory fee of 57 million. They also wanted 5 million if we won the FA Cup. They wanted 25 million if we qualify for the Champions League. It was a ludicrous. Altogether, it came to around 100 million. And I just weren't prepared to do that. I just wanted someone in as a backup to Højlund for the season, really. And I'm not prepared to pay that amount of money for it. So we got in Enciso, which means he can play left, right, left, middle, or right hand side. He looks pretty decent. He's got plenty of potential. We do have an optional fee on him for where is it, for 100 million. We won't be activating that, but the good thing about us having a player on loan with an optional fee, it keeps the other club happy. So that they wanted the £100 million optional future fee. We got him. We are paying £120,000 a month if he plays, £275 a month if he don't play. So it works in our favour just to bring him on as a substitute if he's not starting a game. He can be recalled. So if they're not happy with the way we're using him, we could end up losing him. But hopefully he can stay for the season and we do some good business with him. In terms of any other transfer history, the rest of it really has just been players going out on loan, like Tyler Fredrickson has gone to Stevenage, Willie Camboala has gone to St Mirren, Charlie McNeil has gone to St Johnstone, Toby Collier has gone to Sutton. They're all loan deals. They're all bringing in a little bit of money for it, but nothing major. But yeah, that is the only signing we've made. In terms of staff, I'm not sure if this is going to actually show it, but yeah, I mean, we have let a lot of people go. I mean, yeah, a lot. We have also brought in quite a few people as well, coaches, sports scientists, head physios, actual physios, set piece coach, etc., etc. If we look at our staffing, then as you can see here, coach-wise, we are top of the table for quite a few. We improved our goalkeeping significantly, along with our fitness and our mentals and our man management and all that. Still got some work to do, but we can build on that in future seasons. The scouting has gone down from 31 scouts to 20 scouts, and all we've really lost is a bit of the analysing data, but you could say that maybe will come from the recruitment analysts, which we've also had to reduce. We've got 5 physios now. We've got our head physio. We're down to 6 performance analysts instead of the 8 that we originally had. So yeah, we've got all the staff in place and the players in place. And if we have a look at the schedule, we're currently top of the table with 3 wins from 3 games. We've only played West Ham, Burnley and Brentford. I mean, there is some symmetry in the fact that my first game in charge of Manchester United was against the team that's managed by the man that first took over from Sir Alex Ferguson. So a bit of symmetry in that. West Ham, we beat them 3-1. Marcus Rashford on 73 minutes, and then Anthony scoring in the later on in the game, in the 82nd and the 93rd minute. As you see here, we did start with Enciso, but Enciso came off for Anthony to come on and turned out to be a good substitution to make. Absolutely dominated. 10 shots on target to their 1, 2.51 XG to 0.24, and we dominated possession as well. We're quickly skimmed through the other games as well. Burnley, we won 4-1. Rashford, Varane, Fernandes and Shaw with the goals in this game. Again, Enciso playing. Had a much better game, even got an assist in this one. And Anthony came on later on. Yeah, it was a very good performance. It weren't as dominant. There was a lot more opportunities for Burnley in this one, and maybe that's because it was an away game, but we did still dominate possession. And then Brentford 3-0 with goals from Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo and Anthony Martial getting on the score sheet. Rasmus Højlund is now fit and will be starting for us a lot more regularly than obviously he was before when he was injured. But again, we dominated. They had hardly any of the game. The 2 home games we have absolutely and totally dominated. If we have a look at our tactics screen, we have been a bit beset by injuries. I mean, Enciso's now got an injury that's going to keep him out for a couple of days. Bruno Fernandes has got an injury that's going to bring him back tomorrow in game, but he'll probably miss the game against Chelsea. Andre Onana's picked up an injury, he's out for another 5 weeks. So Bayendir has been starting in goal for us. Amad Diallo, as you know, is out injured anyway. And obviously Rasmus Højlund is back now as well. So yeah, we've had injuries, but we're getting there. Like, you know, bearing in mind what Erik ten Hag had to go for, I don't really think I've got much room to complain. But yeah, it's been a really good start to the season. Like I say, look at the table, and we are top of that table. 3 games played, 3 goals. Rashford's been playing really well for us. Liverpool also on 9 points, as are Aston Villa. So the 3 of us are unbeaten so far. But yeah, I will bring you back for part 2 at the end of the next transfer window. I don't even envisage we're going to actually do anything, but it'll be around here just before we play Everton on the 3rd of February. So I'll see you in part 2. Oh my word, this has been one of the most stressful transfer windows. No, actually scratch that. It's been the most stressful transfer window I've had on FM24. I was in a position at one point, as you can see here, we have sold Rafael Varane, has gone to Al Ittihad. They gave us an offer of 37.5 million. He was in the last year of his contract, 30 years of age. He has been an ever-present for us. I mean, if we look at his history, he's played 20 games, scored 2 goals at 7.16. He's actually been really decent. And I was very tempted to actually keep him. But bearing in mind he's in the last year of his contract, he did have a 1-year extension, but had absolutely no interest in signing a new contract. And because he had absolutely no interest in signing a new contract, I was very tempted just to trigger that 1-year extension. But Al Ittihad came along, 37.5 million. I thought, we've got 5 million in the transfer kitty at the moment. We could actually put that to some good use, either in this January transfer window or in the summer. So we accepted it. He's gone. Then Tottenham came in with a bid for Harry Maguire, 30 years old. He was running out of contract. I think next season was his last season. 30 years old. We need him gone anyway. I just thought 24 million is probably as good as we're going to get. He's only made 5 appearances for us this season anyway in the league. So yeah, it just seemed like a good bit of business. Then Johnny Evans has gone to Al Khalij, and 36 years old, is out of contract in the summer. They offered us 975,000. It's a small profit on him. He's only made 4 appearances for us this season. He arrived in the summer. He's gone in the winter. Yeah, at least we made a bit of profit out of him, so that was him gone. At that point, I realised that I've only got Lisandro Martinez as a centre-back. And for one game, I had to play Luke Shaw at centre-back along with Lisandro Martinez because I had nobody. I have since remedied that and gone into the transfer market and bought in 3 South American... They're not wonder kids. I mean, they're pretty rubbish, to be fair. But we've spent around 16, 17 million in total. Nicolas Romero is the first one. He's actually away on international duty at the moment. 20 years old, 2-star current with 2.5 to 3.5 star potential. He does have a resale value of 27 to 34 million. And like I say, we've paid 4 million on him. If they want us to sign players to sell for a profit, if we're able to bring in better and then sell him on for a profit, maybe next January or whatever, then I'll be happy with that. And that's how I'm looking at this with all of these 3 players. So yeah, he comes in, he has a resale value. We could make a bit of a profit out of him. Then we've got Alexander Hammer Kelson, who's come in from Valerenga for 2.2 million, potentially rising to 2.5 million. Again, he has a resale value of around the £25 million mark. He's 1.5 star current with 2.5 to 3.5 star potential. He has actually started the last 2 games and we've kept a clean sheet in both of them. So pretty decent going for him. We have also not scored in those 2 games, but that's not the point. Samuel Lucero from Defensa y Justicia has come in for 7.5 million. Not much of a resale value on him yet, but you never know. That might end up going up a little bit. 2-star current with 2.5 to 3.5. They all have 2.5 to 3.5 star potential. They're like 1.5 to 2-star current. And yeah, he comes in. He could do a job for us. He could end up leaving at the end of his contract. He's here till 2028, so his contract would end before the end of our 5-year spell at the club. But hopefully, like I say, we can make a bit of money on him when we bring in better players in the summer. When we get the email come through with all the Wonder Kids, I will absolutely be looking at wanting to sign some defensive Wonder Kids from that as well. But what I will say is, in terms of what was available to us, there really wasn't much out there. We did try putting in bids for a couple of other players that were slightly better than these, but the money that some clubs are wanting, that, you know, there's one player, I can't remember who the player was now. Is he still in a transfer centre? It might be this guy, Nicholas Romero. No, I don't think it was him actually. No, because he is our player. Can't remember who it was. There was somebody anyway that we tried making a bid for, and their value was around 65 million. And we put in an offer with instalments and whatever else as well, 20 million up front. And they came back with they wanting like 105 million in all these various different instalments. It's ludicrous. We can't afford to pay that. On the plus side, we have still got 53 million in the bank, basically, or in the transfer budget. Our wage budget as well, which was around 4.5 million at the start of January, is now down to 3.7 million. So we're saving a lot of money on the wage budget, which is a good job because we're also losing a lot of money in the overall balance in our actual bank account. Right, let's get on to how well we've been doing, because this has been a really good season so far. There's been a couple of iffy moments, but we got off to a really good start. We had like 7 wins in the first 7 games, including a 3-1 win against Barcelona in the Champions League. Then we went out of the Carabao Cup 1-0 to Watford, and we had Bayendir in goal. We had a couple of teenagers in our right back positions as well, because our injuries have been horrendous. They really have. I mean, Anana picked up 2 major injuries and he'd only played 1 game between the 2 different injuries. Hoyland was the same. He picked up another injury as well that kept him out for a while, but we'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, went out the Carabao Cup in the 3rd round. Then we played Salzburg in the Champions League and beat them. We also beat Union Berlin in the first game, drew Union Berlin in the second game, then beat Barcelona 4-1 at home before beating Salzburg in the other group. We went through in our group very comfortably. We have been drawn against Benfica in the round of 16, but if we have a look at the actual group stage, I forget what group we were in now, we just see all groups. Then, yeah, top of the group, 5 wins and a draw, 16 points, and yeah, comfortably through in the Champions League. In terms of the actual league, we got a draw here against Brighton, a 2-2 draw, then a 1-1 draw against Newcastle. This kind of started a bit of a run of dodgy results, because we then beat Union Berlin, but then we lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest in the league. Then we picked up a win against Crystal Palace, a 3-0 win, a comfortable win. But then we had a 2-2 draw against Union Berlin. We then beat Fulham, but then we lost 3-1 to Liverpool. And this was the start of a wretched run of games. And we're actually we played really well to actually pick up the results we did, because I thought we was going to get pummeled here. So Hoyland scored in a 3-1 defeat against Liverpool. Then we had Barcelona in the Champions League. Then we won 3-0 against Manchester City in the league at home. Fernandes with a penalty, Varane and McTominay on the score sheet as well. Then we drew 1-1 with Tottenham, Garnacho getting on the score sheet. But then a 5-0 win against Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has been sacked, by the way, and Roberto De Zerbi is now the Arsenal manager. That wasn't as a result of that game, it's just results that followed from that. Then we played Salzburg and won, and then we went on another winning run where we had Wolves, Luton, Villa, Burnley, West Ham in the league, Brentford in the FA Cup third round, which we won 3-0. Then Brentford again in the Premier League, and we won that 1-0. Then we had West Ham in the FA Cup fourth round, we drew 0-0. And then Chelsea most recently in the league, we also drew 0-0. Not scoring is a rarity for us. I think looking up at this, Nottingham Forest is probably the only game before Watford. I'm not really including Watford, but Watford and Nottingham Forest were the only two games that we hadn't scored in before. So all these games where we were scoring in every single game, like I say, it was a rarity. If we look at the Premier League, we are top of the table. We are level on points with Manchester City. We've only recently got there. We were there after the first 7 games, so let's say we played 7-1-7, but we've only just got back to the top. We'll have a look at the past positions in a moment. And I'm not sure if this is a genuine... I'm not thinking we're winning the league this season, put it that way. I'm not really worried about winning anything. It's about getting through this season, identifying players we want to keep for next season, and then trying to build a squad for next season. Liverpool, a third, 3 points behind us. They have been top for quite a while. Tottenham on 51 points, then Chelsea, Aston Villa and Arsenal. Like I say, Arsenal were in and around 4th and 5th until we beat them 5-0, and then they've kind of slipped down, and yeah, Mikel Arteta has subsequently ended up getting the boot. Now, if we have a look at the team detailed stats, just want to have a quick look at something. I don't know what it is, so this isn't me flexing if we're doing really well. But goals from corners. Yeah, I looked at this earlier on in the season, and we had 2 then. We've only got 3 now. And Liverpool, Man City have got 9. Sheffield United 8. Aston Villa 7. Chelsea 6. I usually do really well from corners in Football Manager, but for some reason, our set pieces don't seem to be working with Manchester United. We'll see if that changes in the second half of the season. But yeah, that was just a slight concern for us. But if we actually have a look at the table in detail, what we'll see is we scored 53 goals this season. That's what the joint best, along with Manchester City. We've only conceded 15. Our defensive record has been absolutely incredible. 17 from Liverpool is the next best towards us. But yeah, in terms of being strong defensively and good in attack, that really is us. 4 draws, like I say, Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, Brighton. 2 defeats, Liverpool and Forest. Forest is a really weird one. But yeah, everything seems to be going really rather well. Except, if we have a look along here, there's this waiting on promise thing. So basically, a whole load of them came to me when we sold all our centre-backs. A whole load of them came to me and said they're not happy about the squad depth. I said, understandably, I'll go into the transfer market and I'll sign some more players. They were happy with that. I've gone in there and I've brought in 3 players. I've got a feeling they're still not going to be happy because they're not going to be of sufficient quality. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't derail us too much because we're doing really rather well in the league. And I don't really want them getting the ump being what ruins that for us. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to show you. We showed you dynamics I'll show dynamics. Very good team cohesion, very good club atmosphere, good managerial support. Sofian Amrabat is unhappy with the amount of playing time. Tough luck, he's leaving at the end of the season anyway. And hopefully this situation will resolve itself one way or another. So I will see you in part 3, where we'll have a look at how we've done for the season. We're doing an end of season review and a quick discussion about what we plan on doing for the new season. So I'll see you in part 3. Premier League champions in season 1. My word, Football Manager's too easy. No, it's been a really good season. We've only lost 2 games in the league all season, which is quite phenomenal, really. We've drawn 9, won 27, 90 points. Man City with 85, Tottenham with 83, Liverpool with 79. Chelsea getting 79 as well in 5th place. They're probably going to get the next Champions League spot based on the coefficient rankings. If we actually have a look at our schedule, the last time you was with me was just before we played Everton. We just played Chelsea, and the league game that we lost was against Liverpool, where we lost 3-1. And then before that, we lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. So basically, in the second half of the season, we've not lost a single league game. It was mainly wins. We had a 1-0 win against Everton. Then we had the FA Cup fourth round. In the third round, we beat Brentford. In the fourth round, we beat West Ham 2-1. Then we had a 1-1 draw against Sheffield United in the Premier Division. Then in the Champions League round of 16, first leg, we beat Benfica 2-1. Then we had a 2-1 win against Bournemouth in the league, followed by a 1-1 draw against Brighton in the league. Then a 1-0 win against Newcastle in the FA Cup fifth round, followed by another win in the Premier League against Newcastle, 3-0. Then the round of 16 second leg against Benfica, we won that 4-2, followed by a 2-2 draw against Nottingham Forest in the league. So Nottingham Forest, as it happens, we lost to them and drew to them, so we didn't actually beat Nottingham Forest this season, which seems a bit mad, really. Wolves in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, we hammered them 6-0. Then Crystal Palace 3-1 in the league, Fulham 2-1 in the league, 1-1 draw against Tottenham. We're back into this horrible run of games again. A 1-1 against Tottenham, a 4-0 against Liverpool. Then the Champions League game against Arsenal in the quarterfinals. We won the home leg 4-1. And at that point, I thought, lovely, we're through to the semi-finals where we'll be playing against Copenhagen or Bayern Munich. We then beat Manchester City 2-0. And then we went against Arsenal. And as you can see by the team, it's not like we rotated or anything like that. We had a proper team out there. Onana had a nightmare on a 5.9. And we got smashed 5-1. It was embarrassing, quite honestly. And that put us out the Champions League at the quarterfinals. Then we got to the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea and beat them 4-0. Then a 1-1 draw in the league against Arsenal. If only we could have done that a little bit earlier in the season, a week or so earlier. Then we came up against Wolves in the league and won 2-0. Then a 5-1 win against Luton, followed by a 3-1 win against Aston Villa. And then the FA Cup final against Tottenham, which we won 2-1. So if we have a look at the actual competitions page, we've won the Premier League, we've won the FA Cup, knocked out, embarrassingly, in the third round of the Carabao Cup to Watford, and knocked out by Arsenal in the Champions League. In terms of the Champions League itself, the final was between Leipzig and Bayern, so Arsenal didn't even beat Bayern. So it's an all-German final in the Champions League. In terms of the Carabao Cup, who won that? Arsenal won the Carabao Cup, beating Chelsea 3-0 in the final. And yeah, if we have a look at our squad and have a look at some stats regarding top goal scorers and all this sort of stuff, if we filter by goals, we can see that Marcus Rashford is our top scorer. This is all competitions, of course. 26 goals and 10 assists at 7.29. Bruno Fernandes with 20 goals, 15 assists at 7.28. Bruno Fernandes, by the way, out of them 20 goals, the amount of them that were penalties, where is it on it? 12 penalties he had altogether. He's missed 3 of them, but 9 of those 20 goals were from the penalty spot. Then Rasmus Højlund, to be fair, Rasmus Højlund's got 14 goals and 5 assists at 7.13, which isn't too bad considering he has spent a lot of the season injured, and we'll get to the injuries shortly. Then Anthony Martial, surprisingly enough, was their 5th top scorer with 10 goals and 4 assists. Christian Eriksen, 10 goals, 3 assists, all is getting 7+ in the ratings. What I also want to say is Scott McTominay, considering he's had 14 starts, 12 subs appearances, 8 goals, 5 assists at 7.36. He actually done pretty decently for us, I have to say. If we filter the assists column, we can see Luke Shaw with 18 assists this season was top of our assist league. Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford was second and third. Mason Mount had 9. I've got to say, all in all, I was pretty disappointed in Mason Mount, actually. 6 goals, 9 assists, 7.06. I suppose he's done well, but I don't know, I just think it's definitely an area we can certainly improve on. In terms of who's made the most appearances for us, Marcus Rashford. Now, usually you have your goalkeeper has made the most appearances for you, but for us it's Marcus Rashford with 51 appearances in all competitions. Forget Brandon Williams, he's not here. Then it's Alessandro Martinez, then it's Luke Shaw, then it's Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes. You have to go all the way down to here to find Andre Onana with 35 appearances as our goalkeeper with the most appearances. Injuries have been horrific. If we go over here and have a look at it now, we've had 39 injuries. And I think what's made it so bad, it's not bad in terms of the amount. It's just the way it's happened. The fact that Onana has had 2 major injuries. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major injuries in total. Onana's had 2 of them. Højlund has had 2 of them. I mean, Højlund at one stage, he came back from, he was injured coming into the season. And then he came back, he played 1 game and got injured for 2 more months. Then he came back and played about 10 more games and got injured for another 2 months. And it's just been ridiculous with the way these players have picked up these injuries. You know, Wan-Bissaka with a couple of injuries there as well, Rashford with a couple of injuries. We've had injuries to some key players throughout this season. And yeah, it's been tough at times. Mainu is the only one out at the moment. If we have a look at finances, we are £144 million in the red. I'm not going to worry about that. That's down to the club to sort out. We do have our transfer budget for the summer, which is 65.6 million. It was 78.9 million, but somehow we've had 13 million taken off us, and I have no idea where that 13 million has gone, because we've not paid out money for players that have triggered a clause in their contract to pay their club an extra amount of money or anything like that. So I really don't know where that's all come from. We do have nearly £1 million left in the wage budget. The squad dynamics with very good team cohesion, excellent club atmosphere, very good managerial support. Anthony Martial wants a new challenge to achieve everything at the current club. He's going to be leaving anyway, so that's no big deal. And Sofian Amrabat is unhappy with the amount of playing time and he's going to be leaving anyway. In fact, if we look at the squad in terms of contract expiry and move this over a little, obviously Amrabat and then Enciso will be leaving anyway. Heaton, Williams, Martial, Shortire, who's one of our youngsters, and Alvaro Fernandez, they will all be leaving. So we'll have some money freed up. I mean, there's 250,000 straight away there for Anthony Martial, plus 50 and 65 up here. So these will all be leaving. I'm hoping to sell on a few players as well. We go over and have a look at our tactics screen, and I'm kind of hoping that there is some interest in Bruno Fernandes from Saudi Arabia. Hopefully that will come through. Casemiro as well from Saudi Arabia. Hopefully that will come through. There is interest in Diego Dalot from Chelsea and Real Madrid. Now, he's 25 years old, so he's obviously not going to be here by the end of this. If we have someone outside of England come in with a decent offer for him, I mean, his value is around the £50 million mark. So if someone comes in for 50, 55 million, I will be very tempted to move him on as well. Basically, anyone that's over or 25 years and over is basically at risk of being moved on. I have scouted the next gen top 50 wonder kids. We only had one in there, and that was Garnacho, who obviously we plan on keeping him around. He's 19 years old. He can still be here in, 4 years' time now. But all of that will go through in the next video when we do season 2. But this has been a really positive, really successful season. And next season might be a bit tougher as we start moving players on and bringing in players that are not as good yet, but will be better in the future. Okay, here we are for the end of season review. We've got the Premier League trophy and FA Cup proudly on display just there. Let's have a look at the new arrivals. I mean, some of these, or most of these, are not going to be valid to us, but Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, Andre Onana. We brought in Alexander Hamer Kelson, 2.5 million from Valerenga. Altay Bayindir, Nicolas Romero we brought in for 3.9 million. Sofian Amrabat, Julio Enciso we brought in for £1.1 million as a loan fee. And Samuel Lucero we brought in for 7.75 million. All 3 of the ones we brought in, with the exception of Enciso, for example, but the other 3 were all for centre-backs when I went and sold Varane, Maguire and Evans. I had to think then who it was. So, yeah, some pretty decent signings. It's not groundbreaking. Evans has gone out. Varane, that was for just under £1 million. Varane for 37.5 million. And there's more of it. Harry Maguire for 24 million to Tottenham. I mean, there's a lot of players went out for Manchester United in that season. Moments to remember for the Premier League, finishing first, 99% attendance field. We obviously won it, A+. Marcus Rashford, top goal scorer, 17 goals. In the Champions League quarter-final, 99% field, Bruno Fernandes, their top scorer with 7 goals. We really do need a striker that can stay fit and score goals next season. FA Cup, we won, 99% attendance, Rasmus Højlund with 4 goals. And the Carabao Cup, we're not talking about that. In terms of the biggest wins, 6-0 win against Wolves. Match to remember was a 3-0 win against Manchester City. And the goal of the season was for Armando Garnacho. Provides a perfect finish to an excellent team move by scoring a curled effort from 20 metres. In terms of the finances, no new sponsorship deals, but everything's gone up as it always does in season 1. Merchandise was £24.9 million. We sold just over 1 million shirts. And Rashford, Fernandes, Mount, Shaw and Eriksen among the top sellers. This is their team of the season. 3 were not included or have not been over 7 on their rating. But Onana, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, Mount, Fernandes, Anthony, Rashford and Martial. I mean, Højlund would be up there, but that's probably down to games played. So, yeah, that will look different next season without a doubt. In terms of record breakers, Luke Shaw with 18 assists, Marcus Rashford with the most man of the match awards this season of 8, and Luke Shaw with the worst discipline, 12 yellow cards and no red cards. Rashford was the fans' player of the season. Højlund, the young player of the season. Side of the season was Alexander Hammer-Kelsen. Garnacho with goal of the season. Top goal scorer was Rashford. Most assists, Luke Shaw. Most player of the match, Marcus Rashford. Highest average rating was Marcus Rashford. And most passes completed per 90 minutes, Alexander Hammer-Kelsen. I won Manager of the Month and Manager on one occasion and Manager of the Year. Man UFC dared to dream, and thanks to a great run way back at the start of the season, their dreams came true. They say it's important to get off to a good start, but it rings as true as ever for Man UFC as they celebrate winning the title. And there's a manager timeline, which I never really bother to look at a great deal. In terms of supporter profile, hardcore 7%, the core has gone down to 32%, family is 19%, fair weather is up to 20%, corporate is 4%, casual is 18%, 3 stars, moderate influence on the board. Social media following has gone up by 4.1 million to 47.7, and 55,000 season ticket holders with 104,085 on the waiting list. And that is probably going to be all that we need to do. We have a look at this, we'll just accept that, whatever it is, don't know, but we'll just accept it anyway. I don't really want to talk to the players, I hate doing this, but what do they want us to do? I didn't look at what the board want us to do. Hang on, let me go back. Where's their reach the latch day, qualify for the Europa? They want us to qualify for the Europa League again. I mean, got to say, it seems very unambitious. Yeah, they're happy with it. Brilliant, that's what I wanted to hear. That'll be all for now, let's go. I mean, if you just won the league, surely you're going to be wanting qualification for the Champions League. We'll go to the USA. It's very unimaginative, but we'll go there anyway. And yeah, that is about it for this episode. So join me next Sunday at 2 p.m. for the next episode, season 2. And obviously tomorrow, 6 p.m, the Unemployed Journeyman. That's Monday to Friday. And I'll see you next weekend for Manchester United Rebuild.